U.S. President Donald Trump said that he and Russian leader Vladimir Putin had agreed that Washington and Moscow will immediately engage in direct negotiations aimed at ending the Ukraine-Russia war. Trump said he and Putin agreed to work together closely and visit each other's nations. The agreement came during a phone conversation between the two leaders. Tracy Furness reports.
Trump described his conversation over the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin as a great call. Trump said he also spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, saying they all agreed that they want to stop the millions of deaths taking place in the war between the two countries.
We had a great call, and it lasted for a long time, over an hour this morning. I also had with President Zelensky a very good call after that. And I think we're on the way to getting peace. I think President Putin wants peace, and President Zelensky wants peace, and I want peace. I just want to see people stop getting killed.
Zelensky said on Wednesday that he had spoken with U.S. President Donald Trump about opportunities to achieve peace in the war with Russia. Zelensky said he had substantive negotiations with the United States of America and believed that America's power is enough to, together with us, together with all partners, pressure Russia and Putin towards peace. This, as NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said, that any peace deal with Ukraine must be enduring and that any discussions must include Kyiv. He said it's crucial that Ukraine is closely involved in everything happening about Ukraine. Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and his family paid a visit to Paris's Notre Dame Cathedral Wednesday. Vance, along with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, is due to sit down with Zelensky later this week on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference to discuss President Donald Trump's intensifying push for Ukraine and Russia to begin negotiations to end Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Russia has blatantly refused a proposal made by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky of exchanging their occupied land to end the war. Meanwhile, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said a minerals deal between Washington and Kyiv would provide a post-war security shield for Ukraine. Bessent arrived in the Ukrainian capital on Wednesday for talks on energy and minerals, seeking to further intertwine shared economic interests. Trump has said he wants the equivalent of $500 billion of rare earth minerals from Ukraine. Bessent told Zelensky that Washington would continue to provide Ukraine with material support on the grounds of an economic cooperation agreement between the two nations. Zelensky said he hopes to reach the agreement within days. Earlier this week, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ruled out NATO membership for Ukraine at a meeting in Brussels.
We must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective. The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement.
Locally, a taxi association is threatening to go on strike next month over what they perceive to be the government's lack of urgency in cracking down on ride-hailing services. The Hong Kong Telecall Taxi Association said it notified authorities on Wednesday that it will strike for 5 days starting on March 5th, unless the government immediately halts illegal car-hailing services. Authorities have until next Tuesday to respond. The Transport Department has arranged a meeting involving the taxi and ride-hailing sectors for next Wednesday. The department said it is looking into regulating online ride-hailing platforms and aims to submit a proposal to the Legislative Council within this year. Ocean Park's two baby panda twins will meet the public for the first time on Sunday. The park said the national treasures will greet visitors for 5 hours each day, with each group of spectators allowed to view the animals for just 5 minutes. Starting on Sunday, members of the public can see the baby panda twins between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. each day. Ocean Park has limited 100 people per viewing slot and expects around 4,000 visitors daily. The Panda Cup viewing sessions follow a first-come, first-served basis. Those who do not wish to queue and want to see the national treasures for a longer time could choose to pay $1,500 to watch the pandas for half an hour before the park's opening time. The government is proposing to amend the copyright ordinance to introduce text and data mining exemptions to facilitate the training of AI models. They include a draft amendment bill to be submitted to the Legislative Council in the first half of the year. The information revolution driven by generative AI. It can be a research assistant and even write novels. But the training might involve using copyright content, which can lead to disputes or even litigation. With that, the government plans to amend the copyright ordinance to provide exemption for mining such data. The amendments include the introduction of copyright exemptions covering computer data analysis and processing of non-commercial and commercial data. It also aims to offer protection for copyright owners. The consultation period ended last year. The government received a total of 62 written submissions. Among them, 24 were from copyright holders, as well as from submissions from the legal profession and trade associations. The government said the majority of respondents, except copyright owners, were in favor of introducing an exemption. Some said AI companies should secure legal permission before accessing copyrighted work. Others proposed an opt-out option. Some copyright holders suggested the exemption should be limited to non-commercial purposes. They also hope to boost the transparency of AI systems and allow options to limit the dissemination and distribution of copyrighted work. The government considers it's best to exempt commercial use to maximize its benefits, which is on par with the practices of some other jurisdictions. Writer Anthony Wang said he is open to the training of AI with their creative work as long as credits are given. Lawmaker Dr. Johnny Ng, who has a technology company, said most copyright holders are worried that AI will undermine their interests, which is understandable. But if many copyright owners opt out of allowing the work to be used for AI training, the question is
whether the model to come out will be powerful enough. So the government at this time is at the right moment to do these consultations and let the society have an idea how we move on for the AI industries.
The Hong Kong Public Opinion Research Institute, or HKPORI, which is headed by Robert Chung, announced that it will suspend its self-funded research work indefinitely. The polling body said it will change the direction of its development and will focus on the existing commissioned projects. It said the body has been law-abiding, but owing to the current environment, it is difficult to move forward. CEO Robert Chung said they welcome interested parties to take over the institute. The police's National Security Department raided the office of HKPORI last month. The polling body's former Deputy Executive Director Chung Kim-wah is wanted by the police on national security-related charges. Welcome back. Foreign Minister Wang Yi is visiting the UK to hold strategic dialogue with his British counterpart David Lammy. Wang touched down in Britain yesterday. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi arrived in the UK on Wednesday and was welcomed by Chinese ambassador to the UK, Zheng Ziguang, and a representative of the British Foreign Secretary. Wang was greeted by Chinese government personnel upon arrival at his hotel. Besides the UK, the foreign minister will also visit Ireland and Germany as part of his diplomatic trip, and is set to attend the Munich Security Conference, which starts tomorrow. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun noted Wang and his counterparts in London will engage in strategic dialogue on bilateral and global issues. He added both parties aim to deepen mutual trust and cooperation, and will work towards a stable Sino-British relationship. An academic believes one of Wang's objectives is to follow up on the policy outcomes of last month's UK-China economic and financial dialogue. Political scientist Sonny Low added Vice Premier He Lifeng and British authorities concluded more than 60 trade agreements in January. He noted the approval rating of Britain's ruling Labour Party has been weak, and that growth in economic ties between the UK and China could help to improve British trade. Noting the recent economic downturn in the UK and a thaw in the Sino-British relationship, the political academic believes the bilateral discussions will initially focus on topics such as the economy and culture. Wang's visit marks the first strategic dialogue between the two countries in 7 years, after former British Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt's visit to Beijing in 2018. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi has held meetings with Britain's Foreign Secretary David Lammy this morning UK time. Wang, China's top diplomat, and his delegation were welcomed by Lammy at the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office in London. Wang said China and the UK have chosen to work together via dialogue, which is in line with the global trend. Wang noted international cooperation is ever more urgent during increasingly turbulent times, adding that the two countries will kick off their 10th strategic dialogue on bilateral and global issues. Hamas said today it would release Israeli hostages as planned, possibly resolving a major dispute that threatens a ceasefire with Israel in the Gaza Strip. They said Egyptian and Qatari mediators have affirmed that they will work to remove all hurdles and that it would implement the ceasefire deal. The two sides have accused each other of violating a deal that has been in place since mid-January. Nasi Karim with more.
Palestinians chase aid trucks as a convoy streams into Rafah in southern Gaza. The presence of trucks may be a sign that Israel and Hamas are close to an agreement on a dispute that is threatening to end the ceasefire deal. Hamas had said they would delay the release of 3 hostages because Israel had violated parts of the deal, including the slowing down of supplies and tents to house Palestinians whose homes have been destroyed. Hamas official Mahmoud Merdawi was reported to have said there were positive signals that the 3 hostages would be released on Saturday, as planned. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz, echoing the words of US President Donald Trump, said on Wednesday that all hell will break loose if the hostages are not released on time. As part of the agreement, Israel said it would allow 600 aid trucks into Gaza each day. Earlier, Trump met Jordan's King Abdullah II at the White House, with Arab countries rejecting the president's plan to move Palestinians out of Gaza. Trump, though, was doubling down, saying the U.S. has the authority to take over the Strip.
We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy. We will have Gaza.
What does that mean?
No reason to buy. There is nothing to buy. It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it.
Abdullah will meet other Arab leaders to discuss a response to Trump's proposal. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took the stand again on Wednesday in his ongoing trial for alleged corruption. Netanyahu is the first sitting Israeli leader to take the stand as a criminal defendant. He is accused of accepting tens of thousands of dollars worth of cigars and champagne from a billionaire Hollywood producer in exchange for assistance with personal and business interests. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
About 260 people of different nationalities were freed from Myanmar cyber scam syndicates, including 10 Chinese mainlanders and 7 from Taiwan. The trafficked foreign workers were handed over to Thai authorities on Wednesday afternoon by one of the Myanmar ethnic rebel forces controlling the area where the scam centers were operating. The group comprised citizens from 20 countries, including Ethiopia, Kenya, Malaysia, the Philippines, and China. They are believed to be victims of online scam operations in Mewadi, Myanmar. Authorities are now probing into their backgrounds and coordinating with relevant embassies. Myanmar's military leadership recently highlighted its crackdown on illegal online gambling and cyber scams. Thailand's Deputy Prime Minister says some 7,000 victims are waiting to be sent across to Thailand. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.